Here was prediction number 2. Mortgage rates near their peak should be in a 6 to 7% range. And I already gave you kind of the big opportunity for buyers and the window that's there. I think right now, counterintuitively, is a fantastic time to be a buyer. And you may be thinking, well, hang on a second, Bill. Mortgage interest rates are really high. Affordability's running away from people. And I don't disagree with any of that. I would say, though, and this is, I think, a good conversation to have with some of your more serious and certainly financially qualified buyers, is the emotion that's in the market right now feels a lot more like a buyer's market type emotion than it does a seller's market type emotion. One of the guys we follow is a guy named Mike Simonsen from Altos Research. And I was watching some of his content recently, and he made what I thought was a great point, where he said people are being more reactive to the changes in rates than the absolute value of those changes. So what I hear in that is it's more of an emotional reaction to rates with a 7 in front of them than it is the absolute value of those changes. And it is, as you all know, within that, when emotion disconnects from the actual of the market, there's an opportunity somewhere in there. And if you can identify that opportunity, and a certain group, in this case of your buyers, says, and I'll be slightly exaggerant for effect here because I know every market is different. If I, as a buyer right now, have higher negotiating power because the buyer pool is pretty small comparatively, if I, as a buyer, think, okay, all these really smart people think rates are going down, well, what do we think is going to happen when those rates go down? Well, of course, all the people who are sitting on the fence waiting on rates to come down now start to get off of the fence. Imagine with me for just a minute, knowing what you know about buyers in today's market, that we looked up 6 months from now. This is not what I'm predicting. However, just hypothesize for a second with me. And we ended up in rates that kind of look like this number, or even this number that's got a 5 in front of it. If you woke up tomorrow and the 30-year fixed was at 5 something, there would be a flood of buyer activity in your market, which would then drive prices up. It would make it more difficult for your current buyers. It becomes even more firmly a seller's market than the inventory number would give you right now. So let's go back and connect some dots here real quick. If people are being emotional to the changes in rates more so than the absolute value, what does that mean? I just took a $500,000 loan amount, pick whatever number you want to, ran it through an amortization calculator. And the question that I really wanted to solve for here is, what's the difference in the interest amount in the monthly payment between, say, like a 7%-ish and a 6%-ish? And you can see here that this is not, even in this example, a significant difference. So that looks like, I don't know, let's call it roughly $400. And you might run this for any serious buyer that you have who you know has some financial means, yet they're just hung up emotionally on what's going on with rates. And you might say, okay, so it's a $400 interest difference, back of envelope math. How long do you think they would either be in that house, and or how long do you think they would have that payment before rates would come down and they could refinance? And we could speculate on a whole bunch of different things there. Let's say I was being really conservative, though, and I said, okay, they're going to be in that spot for 3 years before they can either make a decision to refinance, because all rate projections point downward from here, or they're going to end up selling it and going somewhere else. And you guys can see where I'm going with this. If you ran out 3 years worth of payments at $400 extra per month, that's going to get you to some number that's not super significant. And I would argue that you could negotiate your way to a purchase price lower than the actual list price of the property that would more than make up for this number, not even taking into account the appreciation that the person is likely to see if you're in any of those states that are seeing the net inbound migration. So let me hit pause here for just a second, because I don't want to over-explain this, yet I think this is a really important point. What your buyers are freaking out about is this. What they are not paying attention to or haven't looked closely at the numbers are the differences between these numbers. The difference between these, or the difference between these, or even the difference between, say, like this one and this one, are insignificant relative to the purchase price of their house. If you took nothing else away from today's conversation, I would want it to be that most of your buyers who are waiting on rates are going to wait through what is probably one of the best opportunities for them to get a great house at a fair price, because they're too emotionally hung up on these numbers, right? This is, I got to tell you guys, this is the piece that the buyers who are in your pipeline and the people in your sphere of influence, they don't know this because they're bought into the headlines. Cut through the headlines and share with them the opportunity that's there. You can check out a lot of resources that we built for you at MiddletonEliteCoaching.com. And if you're interested in learning more about what we do, you can find us there.